What's up, crew? Welcome to Filming in Progress, the show that takes you backstage into the world of local businesses and the people who make them shine. We're excited to welcome Lana Rogers, founder of Gentle Lion Communications, to the show. Known for her unorthodox approach to marketing and PR, Lana empowers brands to thrive with authenticity and autonomy. Lana, thanks so much for being here.
Thank you for being here. Thanks for coming to our office.
Yeah, where are we?
We are in Victoria Park, in the heart of Calgary, and yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah.
You are known for unconventional communication strategies. What does that mean?
Oh my gosh, really? We're starting with such a loaded question? Okay, well, unconventional communication strategies, there's a few ways to describe it. Is like, number one, we always like working with unconventional brands. What that means to us is working with people who are doing things differently. So they're maybe taking a more difficult path because they see a more creative outcome for it. And they just want to do things that are a little bit more unorthodox. And I think those are the brands that actually change what we're doing in the city. I think those are the brands that like create our culture here. And I love working with brands like that. They're just like more risk takers. So for us, we have to be able to match that type of brand with the services that we provide. So we're not delivering them something that was delivered to a client that we worked with 3 months ago. It's really all about like learning from them, understanding where they want to go, and then we tailor everything from our communications approach to kind of how they work. Yeah.
Has that always been the case since the get-go?
I don't know. I mean, when I first started, I came from like a really heavy PR background, like very traditional PR. I'm talking faxing press releases, like going to the morning shows and like kind of doing it in this like very traditional way that still rings true today, that works. And I actually contribute my team for the ones that have brought in this new approach. They're a lot younger than I am. I think everyone's a lot smarter than I am. And they just were like really keen to show me different ways of working. And I'm always like, if you think this is something that's possible, then let's try it. So I think it's because of how really the team has kind of brought that way of thinking to it. Mm-hmm.
When that first started to change, like, you know, when you started in this like kind of traditional mentality, and you started going this new direction, was that hard? Was that hard to like kind of change that old habit?
No, it kind of like flowed really nicely because it wasn't this like massive shift. It was this like small sprinkling in of like, maybe let's try this and see if it works. And I mean, we're still building our process today. And I think we're always going to be building on it. There's never an end. I don't see it being like, here's the Gentle Lion process. It's perfect. It's wrapped up in a bow. We're always looking at, okay, that's something that we can do better. I recently just like revamped our onboarding system for clients because they're giving us feedback and we're like, well, we want to improve it. So it's just like kind of these like gentle things that happen over time.
Always changing.
Yeah. Always changing.
Gentle things, Gentle Lion, where did that come from?
Yeah, well, okay, weirdly enough, when I first started this business, I didn't really believe in myself. And I didn't really know what I was supposed to be doing. And so I just like gave it a generic name, which was my name. Lana Rogers, PR, media consulting, blah, blah, blah. I actually don't even remember. It was like really long-winded. And as the team kind of grew and I started bringing on all of these great women, I was like, I can't be the one to represent all of these amazing minds. And I wanted it to be a collaborative process. And at the time, everyone that was on the team was a Leo. We're very into astrology here. We like kind of love those astrological coincidences, and it kind of like is a way that inspires us. So I always knew there was going to be some sort of like Leo thing incorporated. But to me, sometimes Leos can come off as like a little bit like too fierce and can be a little bit too much, whereas like how we really deliver things is with this really nice, gentle touch. We really, really take care of our clients. We really care about our clients, but we're gonna advocate the shit out of them. And we're gonna do it with like a lot of fierceness. So that's where the name came from.
I love it. So you said that used to be the case. That's no longer the case? You're not all Leos?
No, well, the team has grown, and so we've got a couple of Tauruses, and then we've got a newbie Cancer on the team.
There you go.
Yeah.
Does that change the work that you're doing? Or?
I think it's a balance, because everyone just like brings these really great characteristics and traits to the table, and so we just kind of like help even each other out. Yeah.
Did you know, or maybe when you were a kid, did you have any entrepreneurial tendencies or know that one day you'd be starting a business?
Oh my God, fuck no. No, I never wanted to be an entrepreneur. I actually had it in my mind that that was a path that I never wanted to do. Like my family never dabbled in the entrepreneurial world. I got my first taste of it because my sister owned her own business, and then I worked for her for 8 years. But I feel like I was kind of like this like aloof person kind of going through life. I started working in hospitality when I was going into university, and I really fell in love with it. I fell in love with the people and just like how much like joy you could bring to someone during kind of one sit down. So I actually always thought that I was going to be involved in the restaurant scene by like managing or being a director or something like that. Because entrepreneurship to me kind of seemed like, it just seemed kind of like lame. It didn't seem exciting.
It's the first time I've ever heard anybody say that.
Like I would look at like entrepreneurs and be like, oh, that's like why would anyone want to do that? Why would anyone want to like kill themselves over a business? And like when we could just like be working for someone else and have so much structure. So it is really interesting that I ended up here because as a kid, this is something that I've like never wanted to do. And now I've been doing it for 8 years.
So that's fascinating. Most people feel the opposite, right? It's like they're living that corporate life and they're like, oh, well, one day I want to do this thing or whatever the case may be. Mm-hmm. So what was the tipping point for you? What kind of made that happen? What changed your mind?
Within the agency that I was working with, I had a lot of autonomy, which over time I started to really like. So my boss at the time allowed me to like bring in any clients that I wanted to work with. So that's when I naturally would bring in a hospitality client or a restaurant client. And I just like felt this like power to be able to go, I can choose how I want to help this person with really no boundaries, as long as that client is really open to hearing anything. And that just like gave me this like innate kind of like courage and potential. And so like as I was managing all of these clients within the agency, I was like, oh, I could actually like do this, but I could do this on my own in my own business. But I didn't plan to do it when I left the agency. Like I left, I wanted to take a break. I was really, really burnt out. I was actually really quite jaded with the marketing and PR industry because I was like, why is something that I love so much like making me feel just like so drained? Like there's gotta be a different way of doing things. And so I just worked in restaurants for like the first like 3 to 6 months. And people just kept approaching me to help them with their business. They were like, hey, you did such a great job with this restaurant. Like, can you help me? And so people just kept approaching me and it blew up from there.
So it was a slow process then?
It was really slow. Mm-hmm. My first client was actually 10-Foot Henry. I had known Steve in Asia for a while, and they were looking to open a restaurant, and they were in the industry for quite some time. And it was almost like we were newbies, new entrepreneurs doing it together, which I found was really exciting because it kind of goes back to that like unconventional brand. They took a chance on me. I had just left this agency that had so much support and they came to me. And so that gave me so much more like courage and motivation. And then another client approached me, Amanda Hamilton, and I'm still working with her today. We've been working together for 8 years. Yeah.
You mentioned that you were jaded towards the industry, so that's why you left. But then, as these clients started coming in, what was it? If you were to identify like the thing that was different, when these individual businesses were approaching you,
Yeah.
What was different? Was it structure? Was it?
I think it was just where they were at in their business. Like, I was used to working with really established businesses who had like really specific goals in mind. And this is why I really love working with small to medium-sized businesses, was they were like bright-eyed and so curious and just like open to doing anything, open to trying anything. And there is a relationship, this like really equal kind of playing field that we were on with each other, where we were like building each other's businesses alongside each other, that I was able to almost reposition my work in a sense of like, I'm doing this in camaraderie with someone else and we're helping each other through it. And I find that all of us here at Gentle Line, we become quite close with our clients, because it's like, we just genuinely care and want to help them. And that feeling is reciprocated from our clients. And like, that is why I keep doing what I'm doing, because there's just this like beautiful mutual respect. And the result is that we've created this like really great community. Like, I can't even imagine not doing this, because I just like love the people that I get to work with every day.
Do you ever wish, now that you've made that transition and you love it, do you ever wish that you'd started earlier?
No. No, because it's like, I think if I would have started earlier, I would have missed out on, like, man, I learned a lot of things at this agency, and I was able to like see it in a different light, and I didn't have that that like layered heaviness that comes with being a business owner. Like, I could kind of do whatever I wanted in a sense, and my sister, I have to commend her. Like, she grew this really, really great business, and I was almost lucky to like be playing in it, but she was the one that held all the risk. If anything happened, it was her name that was on the line. I was lucky to like be in that position where I could kind of do whatever I want, and I wouldn't trade that for the world, because now it's like the responsibility of being the business owner is, I feel like I can't do that as much anymore, because I always have to think about like, what about my team, and like making sure that my team's going to be able to grow and thrive. There's just like different responsibilities involved. Mm-hmm.
Did you anticipate, so when you started helping these people out, Amanda Hamilton, 10 Foot Henry, et cetera, did you anticipate that it would grow into a full-fledged business where you have employees and that sort of thing? Or at that time were you just kind of, I just want to help my friends?
I wanted to stay small. I thought that by staying small, I had more control. And yeah, it was like, I think I was like really scared of like letting other people in, for fear of like what would happen. Like, is something gonna happen where there's gonna be a wrong move made and that client is gonna suffer from that wrong move? Like, I felt like I was the only one that could really protect these people. And when I think back in hindsight, I'm like, oh, that's such a closed-minded way of being a business owner. But I don't beat myself up, because like, I technically didn't want to be a business owner in the first place. Yeah, and it actually probably wasn't until COVID where I was like, I think I actually want to grow this. And what a weird time to want to grow something when we were losing clients. Like, it was just like every day people would be like, we can't do this, like, we're so sorry. And it was like in that moment where I'm like, no, I want to grow this. I feel like if I can withstand still having a business, not laying off any of my employees, then I can take this to the next level. So hopefully that's what we're doing right now.
100%. Yeah, no doubt. You said, so I'm really curious as far as COVID is concerned. I think, there's two schools of thought, which are that people were dumping money into marketing and people were pulling money out of marketing.
Yeah.
What is your experience with that?
Yeah, it was both, and it was dependent on the industry that you were in. Everyone in hospitality was pulling money. They couldn't have butts in seats. They couldn't have heads in beds. So it was like, they were like, well, we're kind of lighting our money on fire by you bringing awareness to the restaurant when we can't get people in. Granted, there were like restaurants that really did a good job of like pivoting to takeout, and that's where we were able to like stay on board with them. Whereas, I would say a lot of like the professional services businesses, they were like, this is our time when we actually want to invest in what are things that we can do better because we know that we're going to make it through this. So some of our budgets ended up going up a little bit because they wanted to invest more. And luckily, because how we diversified who we work with, we saw a lot of those hospitality clients leave us. A lot of our professional services stick around. So we were able to like survive and then weather that storm. And then people ended up coming back.
Do you think that fluidity in thinking, the ability to transition from, come to the restaurant to how can we, successfully market the fact that we're delivering or whatever the case, was what kind of helped you survive in that tough time?
Yeah, it's almost like an adaptability piece. I really think like qualities of a really good leader. Number one is like a leader has to be really adaptable, and adaptable in the sense of like, things are going to be really great or they're going to be really bad. And am I, as a leader, going to follow those ups and downs and show up in those ups and downs? And if I am, I actually don't think that's me being a good leader. I think it is being able to still be level and like consider, yes, this is a really great moment, let's celebrate, but like, let's stay the course versus, oh no, there's something really bad going on right now, but we're gonna get through it, let's stay the course. I think that is something that I'm always trying to work on, is the adaptability piece as a leader. I think empathy is really big as a leader. I'm always really working on that. I've done all of these like EQI scores and shit, and I actually rank really low in empathy. It's like my one quality that for some reason shows up really low for me. And people are like, that doesn't make any sense. Like, you seem like you're really empathetic. But to me, like empathy as a leader is being able to like go somewhere with your team or your client and like sitting in that space with them and not making it about yourself. Sometimes I'll bring that feeling in with me, and then I will like go to another level. So I almost like take their experience and I make it my own, which is something that I'm always really trying to work on. I want to be able to like honor their experience and just not take it.
How did you recognize that? And then what are the ways in which you're working on it?
I mean, I do a lot of like leadership training and like self-reflection. I really, really believe that like inner work, like really looking at like who I am as a person and how I show up in the world is just as important as, going to those like business conferences, those like kind of traditional business conferences. And I keep doing it because I see so many results. Like yesterday, I did the most intense somatic therapy session. And I've been doing that work for like quite some time. And before, if I would have done a somatic therapy session, I would have been like completely on the floor for like 2 days because I wouldn't have been able to bounce back. But now I do it and my body's so well resourced. It's like I go in, I come out, I'm like, I know how to regulate my nervous system. And I'm like, okay, I'm gonna be okay. I take those learnings into what I do as a business owner. And I think that makes me a more resilient business owner because I can bounce back. If a client comes to me and is like, our revenues are down 50% this month, I'm not gonna go and like fall on the floor and cry and be like, I'm the worst person. I'm like, okay, that's really hard. This is tough to hear, but like, we got this. Let's figure this out together. And it's not the end of the world. And there's probably a positive out of it.
For those who don't know, what is somatic therapy?
Somatic therapy to me is, it's the opposite of talk therapy. So it's tapping into your body and allowing your body to talk to you. And when your body is talking to you, it's sitting with that feeling and really just experiencing that feeling and not judging it and not trying to change it. And I mean, for me, I have like parts of my body that can be like quite vicious, quite angry. And I think the more that I can like sit with that piece of me and just like welcome it and be like, yo, you're a part of me and it's gonna be okay. It's just like I'm able to like make myself stronger, as corny as that sounds.
Not at all. Well, I think it goes along. I mean, you're talking about like personal health and how it translates to everything around you, not only business, right?
Yeah.
Have you always known that that's important, is to keep yourself healthy so that you can, you show up to the best of your ability in all other aspects of your life?
No, because it's like like at my last, I experienced so much burnout, and that's like resentment towards marketing, blaming the industry for my burnout. And I just thought that was like the industry's problem. I was like, this is something that it's created, and this is how I have to work within this environment. And so I think I kept that mentality with me probably for like up until the past like 3 years. I was the type of person who was like, if I work longer, harder, faster, like I'm gonna be a better business person. But then I would hit these like spouts of complete burnout, and I would have like breakdowns in the office bathroom. I don't know if they knew, hopefully they didn't know about it. But yeah, I'd be like crying in the bathroom and being like, I can't manage this anymore. What's wrong with me? Like, how come I can't do this? And then as I like slowly like would unpack it, it all ultimately goes back to like how I'm taking care of myself and how I'm taking care of my body. And now I think I've swung maybe a little bit too far to that end of the spectrum, because it's like, I want to show up and be like the best leader that I possibly can. So that means like, I need to work out every day. I need to move my body every day. I need to meditate every day. And now it's like become this obsession because it does work. Like I just feel like I don't hit those crazy rock bottoms as much as I used to anymore.
But you still do at some points?
For sure. And it kind of goes back to what I'm talking about. I was talking about like the resourcing and regulating myself. Like I'm so lucky to have had really great teachers teach me these like great ways of like, okay, either go for a walk or lay down on the floor and just like look at things to orient yourself, to like bring your nervous system like back into the world. Like those are things that I'll like always use. They're always in my back pocket. And then I do them and I feel really good.
I think it's really healthy to talk about the fact that, you can hit that rock bottom and then you can make the right decisions, but it's okay that you might, find yourself back in that space.
Yeah. And my fear was always like, I never want this to come out onto my team. It's not like I never wanted them to like see it for what it is. Because I think there's something really beautiful when your team can like see things are maybe a little bit trickier for you. But I was always of the mindset of like, I don't want me to pile this onto them and then also show them that like, this is what you need to do to work in this industry. I'm really trying to like reverse that type of culture, especially in agencies. Like agencies are known for burning out all the time because like it's like more clients, more money, more clients, more money. And like there's a breaking point when all of a sudden no one here has any time, but yet there's 3 clients that need to be serviced. So I look at like time tracking as almost like a system to be able to make sure that we have the capacity that we need to be able to take on projects. And if we have too much, if there's too much time or there's not enough time, then I'm going to say, hey, maybe we can't work on this client, but we need to bring in like a new team member. Mm-hmm.
I feel like there's a pressure on business owners, founders, CEOs, whatever the case, to kind of be that rock and be that constant and like maintain that everything's good even when it's not. And I think that narrative might be switching a little bit in the sense that people are more open to being vulnerable in the workplace and kind of like sharing the struggles and that sort of thing. What's your stance on that?
Yeah, I think it's a fine balance because like now with like TikTok and everyone's going to therapy and like sometimes to me like therapy is being like weaponized. Like, there's a lot of like words that people are using and I'm like, are you using that in the right way, in the right context? So I think there is a really fine balance because and I like, yes, do I want my team to like tell me what's up if they're having a bad day, if they need to stay home because they just are at, something's going on with them. I will honor that 100%. But like, there is a fine line where it's like, I feel like I can't get too involved because then I'm kind of like crossing a little bit of a boundary here. Like, this is still a work environment. And of course, I want to make sure people are being supported, but like, I don't want to be everyone's therapist. And I think this is where our work also sometimes can get muddied in that realm. Like when we do a discovery session and when we present people their findings about what their audience is saying about them, we've had clients cry because we have brought something up that has like, they didn't know that it was happening. It's something that is maybe more painful for them. They don't know how to process it. And we have to just be like really careful with the delivery. But at the end of the day, it's like if it's something that they feel they innately need to change, they need to do it. And we'll help them do it, but I'm not going to force them to do something that they don't want to do. So that's where like the lines can get kind of blurred a little bit.
What do you do in those scenarios where people are taking that, I mean, fair enough, right? For most people, their businesses are their babies, they take it very seriously. Or maybe it's a CMO who's maybe not doing their job to the best of their ability, or, whatever the case may be. How do you handle those scenarios that maybe are crossing a bit of a personal boundary potentially?
Yeah, I mean, I always think that, having the conversation about like, are we going a little bit too far here? Like, are we veering into territory that's maybe like not a professional territory, and just kind of like going offline and talking about it? But yeah, like I remember a couple of times where we've delivered a finding that what we thought was about the business, but it was something that hit that owner so personally. And we didn't know what it was because they didn't divulge on it. And then just like really, really, really upset. And it's like, I will always allow that space for them to express how they want to feel. And then I say, you can come back to us whenever you're ready and you let us know what you want to do with this information. Like, this is your choice. I am not going to force you to dive into that. If this is something that maybe is going to cause your complete business to shift and you're not ready for it, like, don't worry about it. Like, I'm not going to force anyone to do it.
Super fascinating. It kind of is like a business therapist in a way.
It is. Yeah. I like to say that we're doctors, that we like diagnose. We diagnose the problems, and then we bring in really great experts to solve the intricacies of the problems, because we don't have in-house branding, videographers, photographers. Like those, to me, those are like experts that have like a really good eye and way of delivering things. But like, I can go to you, Aiden, and say, listen, here is a story that someone really, really wants to talk about. And we need to do it in a way that really ensures that it upholds their brand. And I'm going to pass that to you, and I'm going to know that you're going to be able to do it, and I'm going to trust you, and we're going to work together on it. So yeah, we're like doctors working together. You're like the heart surgeon.
I don't know about that, but I love that idea of being a doctor and kind of prescribing, but only after, truly understanding the symptoms, realistically, if we're kind of subscribing to that mindset. Do you find that marketing in general, sometimes people are too quick to say, take an Advil or whatever the case may be?
Yes. I have so many thoughts around this. Like,
let's go.
Okay, I'm just gonna like change my seat here. Okay, so I feel like a lot of people are gonna disagree with me on this. And because like marketing to us at Gentle Lion, and to me specifically, is, I think really, really good marketing needs to show up as like an enigma. Like, you're seeing this like brand, and you don't really remember where you've seen it, but when you see it, it makes you feel a certain way. It makes you feel either really happy, really confident, really inspired, and it's that feeling, that innate feeling, ultimately is what is going to lead someone to purchase, to convert, right? This makes our jobs really fucking hard, because how do you measure an enigma? How do you measure this like mysterious thing that just like keeps showing up and isn't actually telling someone to convert in that second? Because that's how you measure marketing is, well, this many people visited the website, they saw this ad, so it's like a numbers game. But I look at all of our clients that we've worked with, and all of the successful clients have grown over time, and they've never asked for those specific measurements. They've never been like, well, tell me how many people you were gonna get in my restaurant this month. They're more about the experience. How do they create this story that reaches someone on such a deep emotional level that is what brings them in? I don't even know if that answered your question, but I just was like, this is something that like really keeps me up at night, and I'm really trying to figure out a way to describe it in a way that makes sense, and also a way to measure it. Because to me, really good marketing can't be measured, because it's based on your feelings. Like, I'm gonna keep going back to that restaurant because I love what that server said to me and how I connected with that server. Like, I'm not going back because I saw them on Instagram. Mm-hmm.
And replicating that experience, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
We think about video in a similar manner.
Exactly.
Funny enough, we use a term called order taking, and I'm sure you're familiar with it, which is like, a self-prescribed, hey, this is what I need. Yeah. And we go back and say, is this actually what you need? Let's have a conversation about that.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think video is also really, because like, how do you measure how many times, it's like people are going to see this video. How many times are people going to see this video? How many times are people going to see this video? And are they going to go, oh my gosh, I watched this video 20 times, and it was on the 20th time that Lana convinced me that I should work with her company. I actually don't want that. I don't want that. I want someone to see this video once, and then I want to run into that person on the street. and I want to have a conversation with them. And then I want them to maybe see our website and go, oh, that's really interesting. This is a different way of thinking about marketing. And then I want them to go on our Instagram and go, oh my gosh, they're kind of fun. They're kind of cool. Like, woo. And then I want to run into them again. And then I want to have a different conversation with them. That's how I want them to come in, because by the time they're here, they know so much about us that the conversation to get them to the point to work with us is very seamless. That's, to me, how good marketing works.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more.
Yeah.
I think we talk about, multiple touch points, obviously, is a common phrase thrown around,
Yes.
which is true.
Yeah.
But you're right. How can you measure all those different touch points, what they meant to that individual, how they felt, more importantly, to your point, right?
Yeah. And I think there are the ways that we can do it are looking at like qualitative ways, like reading all of the comments, what are people saying about you publicly, and also looking at your customer loyalty. So like our average client stays with us for about 3 years. That's a really long time. So if we can keep that going, and if I notice that all of a sudden clients are like dropping at the 6-month point, I'm like, we're not doing something right here. Where have we missed the mark? Where have we lost them? So it's just like being more intentional in like how you're looking at your measurement from that perspective. Mm-hmm.
Do you find that the communication of that idea is one of the harder things that you deal with in your industry?
Yeah, I don't even know what the word for it is, but I think marketing, like there's a lot of like transactional qualities to marketing, and like all these like weird buzzwords like lead gen, get into your funnel, like all of these things. And those words to me don't evoke a feeling in me. They just seem really transactional. And we have to use those words because I think that's how people will understand it. But it's not until people can come into this experience can they actually go, oh, this is what it is. So like, back to that question around like, we're always trying to work on how we describe ourselves. I truly don't think we have mastered what our purpose and promise is yet, because it is this weird enigma and it is really hard to describe. And the only way you can understand it is by going through it. And I think a lot of business owners struggle with that. It's like, how do I succinctly put this into a brand promise statement? It's really, really hard to do. And like, we've gone through those sessions where it's like, sit down, do your what, how, why, and you've got your statement. It's like, you can't actually figure that out in 5 minutes. It takes a really, really long time. So we need to stop beating ourselves up around like why we haven't mastered our purpose in 2 minutes. Mm-hmm.
Do you think that training or that preconceived idea that, you can do that, or the fact, that maybe, I guess my question is more so based around what kind of education is required for individuals to recognize that they feel a certain way about something and kind of trust their gut on it, rather than all of these different metrics of, that things are typically calculated via.
Yeah. It sounds real cheesy, but like meditation, like what are things that can put you back into your body so that you're experiencing your body and you're starting to become well acquainted with it? I mean, I'm clearly biased. I'm speaking from like, I used to really numb myself out with alcohol. Like really long day, have drinks because I don't want to feel the burnout in my body. I don't want to feel how it's screaming at me that I need to rest. So I numbed everything out. And I used to actually fucking hate yoga because getting into my body was too painful. I would like do the poses and I'd have to hold the poses. And I was like, this is the worst feeling in the world. But I've now like gotten into it where it's like back to that, like I'm really curious about like how this feels and I'm not scared of it. I'm willing to sit with it. So like the more I get acquainted with my body and how it feels and like just like continuously getting the reps in is how I'm going to be able to like also do that from like a business standpoint as well.
For people listening or watching that can resonate with what you just mentioned, which is like stuck in that place of like, whether it be alcohol or whatever the case, some sort of means of not experiencing, what would you say to that person? What's your advice?
Oh man. I mean, I think like that they're not alone. Like, I think like for me in those moments, I had this like one-sided, like I'm the only one that's struggling. I looked at everyone else in the entrepreneurial world and I was always so envious. I'd see these business owners like doing crazy shit and like growing their business by like 10x. And I'd be like, why can't I do this? Well, it's because I'm so burnt out. I'm so tired. So I'm gonna numb out for this weekend and like try to get back on track. And I just thought that I was the only one that had those vicious cycles. And then the more and more I'd had conversations with people and other entrepreneurs were like, yeah, like I have gone through the same struggles, but my vice is this. And just like being like more open. So like share your story and like share your experience with someone who's in a similar industry, because I guarantee it that you'll be able to find like some similarities and be able to get through it. Like my two best friends are entrepreneurs and I consider them to be my mentors because we go for brunch every Saturday and it's like going to church and we sit there and we talk about our real business struggles, like real things as like little or big they are. And they're always going to listen. They're always going to have some sort of share where it's like, oh yeah, I've been through that. So you're good. Don't worry. Like we've got each other. So like find your little pack and just like be really open about it, because it gets a lot easier when you can do that. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you talked about community earlier, and I think that's so important, having that, that support system around you, whether it be mentors or friends that are going through similar things, whatever the case.
Yeah, and it's like I always find like this, like they're kind of like cheesy words too. Like you have your mentor, you have your community. And I always like, once again, maybe why I never wanted to be an entrepreneur, because I was like, I don't need a mentor. I don't need to like find this like special community. And then I think once I got in it, I was like, oh, but I can redefine what mentorship means to me. And mentorship means, what it means to me is going for brunch every Saturday with my two best friends and talking about all of our shit. Like that is how I define it, and that's what sits really well with me and works for me. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I think, yeah, there's so many scenarios where people kind of get stuck in the definition of something, right? And maybe that's not the definition for you.
Yeah, like all these labels and then there's this like, oh, well, I need to do it this way. Like even mentorship, that term to me means there's like an unequal playing field. It means that one person is higher than the other person. And there's just like, it's not this equality where it's like, well, we're both going through the same struggles. So, and we're all just helping each other out. So I need to find a new word for that too, I guess.
There you go. There you can come up with a new one.
Right.
I'll
let you know.
Yeah, sounds good.
Yeah.
What is Champagne Fridays?
Oh man, I knew you were gonna ask this, and I'm at a crossroads with Champagne Friday.
Perfect.
I'm at such a crossroads with it, and maybe we're gonna solve it in this session together. Okay, so Champagne Friday originally started with me always having champagne on Fridays after a long day of work, and you can probably see where this is going. And I worked in hospitality. I love champagne. It is my favorite beverage of choice. So I would always take people out for drinks, and we'd always like grab photos together, and I'd always tag everything, Champagne Friday. And then I stopped for a while, and people were like, well, what happened to your like fun Champagne Friday posts? Like, they're just so much fun. So I was like, okay, I'll just keep it going. Then I created an actual brand for it, and it was mostly centered around like getting together with people after a long day's work, celebrating the little things, and just like not stressing about stuff. So then we would host events. We have a newsletter that really talks about what you can do in the community, ways that you can like let loose, go immerse yourself in something that's not the daily grind. Then it blew up even more. It became a membership, so you could pay for a membership. I illegally was selling champagne. I got shut down by the AGLC. And that was kind of like, it like hit this like pinnacle of like, I had all these members. They're coming to all these events. We were having great conversations centered around champagne. And then it was like, I did a boo-boo. I got shut down. And then I stopped drinking. And so currently, like where I stand with it is like, I still believe that the meaning behind Champagne Friday is connecting with community and really just like having a great time. I can still do that without drinking, which is great. So we still host events, we still have our newsletter, but there's something there where the brand to me needs to be like revisioned, like revised a little bit to like take on a little bit of a different course. It's just kind of at a standstill right now.
I see. Mm-hmm. How long has it been in that place?
Well, I stopped drinking January 1st of this year, so it's been like 11 months where it's been at a standstill.
Are people missing that community?
Like it still happens. We still do our events here, and like I still love opening great champagne for people. I love buying it for people. We did a merchandise line. I got braces last year, which was also very hard getting braces as a business owner, as an adult business owner, Aiden.
Why is that?
I had this fear that no one was going to take me seriously and that I was going to look too young to own a business. I thought that it was going to be something that would be detrimental to me as a leader and as a business owner. And I like canvassed people for this. I was like, how would you feel if I got braces? Like, would you still want to work with me? And people were like, yeah, you just have braces. So that was its own thing. So then we did a collaboration, Champagne Friday Brace Face shirt, to just like really lean into the fact that like, yeah, I can have braces and maybe do something that's going to alter my appearance that makes me feel not as not as courageous or not as great of a business leader. I think, some people are like, oh, that's really stupid that you would feel that way having braces. But like, that was real. That was a real feeling. And I still feel that way sometimes when I meet new people and I'm talking to them. I'm like, no, do they think I'm like 12 because I have braces?
Has that ever been validated?
I mean, someone thought I was in my late 20s the other day, which I was like, oh, that's great. Yeah. I'll take that.
Love it.
Yeah. But they're coming off in 2 weeks. So
there you go.
Yeah, we celebrate.
There you go.
I'll have a non-alcoholic beverage and celebrate.
Perfect. Yeah. Do you think you'll ever go back to drinking? Or you're just happy with kind of how it is?
Yeah, I think I will. I think I want to do it in a more mindful way. I really want to create a new relationship with it. So instead of it being the reward for working hard, I want it to be a celebration that's more based on like positive notes. Like it's not related to like the negativity. And I know I'm not there yet because my partner's doing this with me. We also have a bet, so that helps, right? Whoever drinks first like owes the other person a lot of money, so that's very helpful. But I'll be like, oh, I think I want to have like a drink tonight. And he'll be like, go for it. Like, you're bad, like your choice. And then I'll be like, well, why do I want to drink? Like, what's the point? And it always, currently for me right now, it's still associated with, I'm really tired. I feel like this is something that's going to make me feel better. It's the escape. So I'm not there yet, but I'll get there. I'll get there.
Well, recognizing that feeling. Yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
You said something earlier that kind of stuck out to me that I'd like to explore, which is that you feel like your clients are your community. And I know we've talked since about community being potentially the wrong word, but obviously that comes from a place of like really caring about them and what they do and the results that you give them and that sort of thing.
Yeah.
But I don't know that everybody can say the same for their clients. How do you feel like you've kind of built that relationship?
That's like, well, that's crazy to me that people don't think of their clients in that sense. Like that seems very strange to me. I think it's because I really one of my like kind of innate reasons why I think I'm here on earth is I'm a connector. And I really, really love connecting with people. And I ultimately don't think that I am the person to make the impact. I think I'm the person that will connect with the person who's going to make impact. So it's like in my DNA where I see someone and I see someone's potential and I see what they want to do, but they're maybe missing they're like missing the processes or they're missing a way of looking at things, but I can see it for them. That is what fills me up. And that's like where I get my cup filled. So the more I can connect with them and be close with them in that sense, it's like I feel like I'm making impact by being in this like really great collaborative relationship with our clients. Like I actually can't see it any other way. I wouldn't be able to just like look at someone and be like, okay, like, yeah, here's your marketing plan, like have fun. Like that's weird to me. Like I feel like I have like this innate responsibility to like really usher them through and make sure that it makes sense to them. And I think this is why marketing has been really tricky for people in the past, because marketers, a lot of them are just going to go, pay me $10,000 a month and I'll give you a bunch of digital ads. And that's it. That's what they do. That's not going to give anyone impact. What's going to give the client impact is when I'm having the conversations around, how are you feeling right now in your business while these digital ads are moving through? Are you seeing anything from the digital ad? Well, if you're not, then why don't we try something different? Like it's just this like really nice, fluid way of working together. And sometimes clients don't like that. And that just means that they're not the right fit for us. Some clients want the digital ad spend and that's it. But we're just not the right fit for them. Mm-hmm.
I think this comes full circle into everything else we've been talking about, which is, truly caring about the customer, client, whatever, and not
too much.
Not measuring, not measuring by KPIs and these vanity metrics and that sort of thing that are commonly used to. I mean, like we mentioned, sometimes those things are important, but ultimately caring about the client themselves makes all the difference. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And it's a feeling.
Yeah, it's a feeling, exactly.
It's a feeling.
Yeah. What is the hardest part about what you do?
Oh my God. Doing interviews like this? No, I'm joking. I think the hardest part for me, I am really like hard on myself in terms of like how I show up as a leader. I am like hyperly aware of, I like want to show up as my best self, and I want my team to like see that and like fuel off of that. And I think the hardest part is like I really doubt myself a lot as a leader. And I don't want that to like show up in the ways that I'm operating. Because it's like, yeah, I can be vulnerable and be like, oh, I'm having this hard day. But like to like sit with the girls every day and innately in my body feel like I'm doing a really shit job with running the business. And then just being and like them trusting and looking at me and being like, yeah, like Lana's got it. But like sometimes I'm like, I don't have it today. Like, I don't have it right now, but they're all looking at me and they're like so motivated and doing such great work. And I'm like, I think the hardest part is like, I don't want to let them down. I don't want to let them down. And I'm really like doing this for them. Like, I want to create something that is so different. I want to create an agency where we have the space to be creative. We're not stressed out. I want to work with clients that we love working with and that we feel like we're not forced to work with, which we're doing right now, which is great. I want to pay the staff more than anyone else is ever going to pay them. Like, I'm always looking at ways for them to like live a better life through working here. And it does get hard when like it's like, oh, my revenue is really shitty. Our revenue is really shitty this month. And I can't give them that this month. Like, that's hard. That's really, really hard. And it's embarrassing. I'm like, am I the right person to be in this seat right now? Like,
Imposter syndrome.
yeah. And I also like, it's like,
Wrong term.
I know. I'm like, I'm triggered. Yeah, it's like, it's just, I just like I want to be continuously growing for myself and for them. And those moments can be like really, really hard for me because I get like stuck in this vicious cycle of, well, you never really wanted to do this in the first place. So should you really be here? Yeah.
How do you get yourself out of that place?
I've been pretty like, I feel like I've had a couple of moments with the girls where I've like, there's been some times of like, and they're always so great. Like, they're a really good support system. So it's like knowing that however I show up, they're never going to judge me for it. Like, I never feel judged by my team at all. Yeah. And just like going back to the people that you surround yourself with, like, I'm really lucky to have a partner who is running a crazy business. Like, you want to talk to someone who is running a crazy business right now? Like, I'm like, whoa, if he can do this, if he can manage this, and I'm only managing this, like, I feel more inspired because like he deals with like way more shit than I've ever had to imagine in my entire life. So I'm like, okay, I got this.
Perspective and
totally.
Yeah. And having the right people on the bus. And,
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
What does success look like to you?
Oh, I mean, success is us like buying an island and living there full time with our clients and just having a great time.
Bring back the metric of having a good time.
Right?
Yeah.
And you can be there with us. I think success ultimately is just like never doubting in yourself and like always being able to look at things in a different light and not letting things derail you. Like, success is just like ultimately like living in your body and connecting with people around you and spreading that. It's, yeah.
Pure. Love
Yeah.
it. Yeah.
Success is peace.
There you go.
Peace.
Couldn't agree more. What's next for you? What's next for Gentle Lion?
What is next for us? I mean, we're definitely going to keep building and growing and refining things so that we can really continue to deliver really great work with our clients. We did launch a foundation last year that we lost a little bit of steam on, but I'm really hoping to bring it back. So the foundation is we choose a business that's in the mental health space and we apply for a grant and we use that grant money to help them with their brand awareness. So I'd really like to amp that back up, and I just want to work with like more people. Like, we need to do some more work together. I just want to like build this roster of like really great people to work with and just like keep building the community.
Yeah, community. Like you said, you're a connector, so that sounds right up your alley. Yeah, awesome.
Yeah.
Right on.
Yeah.
Where can we send people to follow along?
Probably Instagram. Oh my gosh, what's our Instagram? Gentle Line Comms.
Perfect. With two M's?
Yes. Oh my gosh.
Love it. All right. That's where we'll send people.
Okay.
Well, Lana, thank you so much for taking the time today. It's been awesome.
This was fun.
Awesome.